Peace, Israel. Peace, peace. What I want to talk about is, what is Israel becoming? What does the kingdom look like? What is within our hearts to become as a nation? I think this is the type of questions that most people don't ask of the Most High, which it's understandable. It's understandable. You're looking at the world through the eyes of like violence. This is like the reason you can't see the future is because of what your past looks like. What you're looking for is the dream within the story to see what it says about the future. So, as a nation, we see the future slower as a nation, but individuals are able to see the future a little bit better than the whole nation. You get what I'm saying? So when you look at it like that, and you see that the dream is within the story of the liberation of man. This is what you're doing with the Bible. You're looking for the dream of the future that pertains to the liberation of mankind from wicked forces. That's what this is all about. You know, we look at it in a context of, you know, what we've been taught and what we've studied within the scriptures and the holy books and the spiritual books. This is what we're doing. We're looking for that liberation of where nobody should be a slave. There shouldn't be no killing. We shouldn't destroy the planet. We should grow back the trees. But this doesn't mean that we have to be cavemen and cavewomen in order for these things to happen or or for them to be. We don't have to give up our lives that we live now to be how they were in the scriptures. So what I mean is, you don't have to give up the car. You don't have to give up the phone, the internet, the any of this. But our moral compass has to change. Our vision, our lack of vision has to change. This is what this is what Christ means about being a body, because you have one like mind, one goal that is the same. And you make that goal so big that everybody can participate in it. This doesn't cause a disruption in mankind, because now everybody's working towards a greater goal than just going into space or creating cars just so that they can be merchandise, so that you can drive, so that not you that buy the car, the customer, but the ones that sell it to you. They make it so that it's an individual world. And they say, worry about your goal. Worry about what you want. So in your mind, you think of money and riches to satisfy you. This is what you're doing. So that's why you're buying merchandise and merchandise, cars, jewelry, clothes, hats, earrings. This is why you're buying it, using the money, because that's the furthest you can see, because we don't have a human goal of not world domination, but world peace. We don't have that. It's racism. So the racism doesn't give us the opportunity to say what is the mission as mankind. See, as long as people think that they're better than other people, we will always have this animosity, this anger towards another nation. But with Israel, you are to realize that's your mission in life. Your mission in life isn't to say Christ is coming to save us. No, how is he going to come and save you when you're going to bring your energy that you have now of hatred, of self-loathing, of wanting to murder? Why would that be in the kingdom? Until you're able to be a peaceful person amongst the nation and do business with the nation on the common goal of we are the future. We're not going to bring people into slavery. We're not going to do that type of stuff. There's no need for slavery. There's no need for it on the planet Earth. There's so much land, everybody can get it. 7 billion people. We was made to think that it's a lot smaller than we originally, thought. We think that. We think the world is so tiny, it can't hold us all. That's the fear. That's what you're murdering for, because you're like, I need space. This is what they're using. So now you look up into the stars and you say, that's space. We could have space. We could do whatever we want. Like, I need room to be who. No, the earth is big enough for everyone. Everyone. But because there are those that don't want to change, that don't want to be a part of something magnificent, they have to go. But that's not on on my orders or anything like that. This is the common goal that Israel should have. Should have. But do you have that common goal? That's what's the hardest part about all of this. We don't have that common goal. We're still saying he's not an Israelite, or he's not an Israelite, or she's not an Israelite. We're not working on the common goal, which that's what the Constitution is for, the law, the common goal of how we should interact. So if we are all following it, why wouldn't I trust you? You know not to kill me, and I know not to kill you. But it's more deeper than that. We're brothers. Through the law. Through the understanding of the Most High in Christ. That's what this is about. That's what this is about. So what does that look like in the future when our children are looking at each other as brother and sister and already deal with one another in that manner? Being able to listen intentfully, like this is your family's family. That's what the future should look like, right? Where merchandise doesn't control us or take hold of us like it's done in the last 50 years. In the last 50 years. We're looking at, now I'm talking about their history and our history. And then the collide of the two. This is how you get the truth that's down the middle. What the goal is as from now to the past. So now you have to, okay, so this is how you look at history, right? You go back and you say, I'm going to go look at the beginning of man. Then I'm going to look at what happened between that time, right? The story kind of stops after Christ in the world if you don't so-called, quote-unquote, go to school, right? The history's gone after that. Boom. You went from Christ to slavery, and then now you're just going to worry about you. But we have to get this piece, which is to understand who this piece is, because they're the same people that transform through time, not transform as your body, like the way the nation interacts or what they're doing. You see what I'm saying? Before, the nations were individuals, so they had their own story. So then you'll see what that type of people was. Boom. Hinduism is their story of, is a historical book of how they got to this point. That's what they all are. So when you look at that, you're like, okay, what happened between here and here and here? So that I could give people an accurate line all the way up to show them in the Bible, this is who they are. That's what we're doing. We're showing you the line. Boom. That's why when people would say, oh, that's fake, because they don't want you to realize that line that takes you back into time. You can look at it on the chartboard. Think about it that way. The part that people were missing is when they added to this time is the magic. And when I say magic, people was like, oh, you talking spookism, whatever. No. Listen, there was a time when our minds would think in a different way, where we were able to believe in a little bit more, because there's nothing to hinder us. There's nothing to say this is impossible. So if somebody's saying something is impossible, then you automatically believe this is impossible. That's the game. So when you look back and you see the magic within it, and then you go and you see your time, you're like, I don't have any magic in my life. It's because people have been telling you that it's impossible. And magic isn't what you think it is. It's not like you're whipping up, something with incantations. With us, it's not like that. But you should know it. The magical side is Christ healing the sick, bringing back the dead, rising from the dead, the turning the water to wine. Moses walking through a ocean of water with millions of people. The magic of it. Not to say if it's real or fake, but to realize that someone was imaginative enough to think of that in those days and times. I mean, we don't have to say it's real or fake, because who cares what you believe on your own, as long as the common goal is the same. And I think that's what makes the world a little more interesting world, where there's a lot more characters than a little bit, but we still have the same goal, same mindset, same thing, but we still do the day-to-day things which develop you as an individual. I think that's what that was back then. I don't think it was magic or Superman or something like that. But once you understand that, then you can say, you know what? More is possible than we ever imagined. But besides that, this video is on the goal. And I'm just showing you different aspects of this. And once you decide to jump on board and really find out who Christ is, regardless of what people tell you the book is, because Christ is you. You're reading about you. You understand? You're reading about you being a peaceful person. And it's more than just 4 books where it tells you snippets. You want to find books that tell you whole stories. He did stuff for 3 years, and he was 33 when he died. Imagine what he did since he was born. And it telling you in intimate detail about the extraordinary development of God on earth with us. Do you understand? Like, do you understand the level of that right there? Where, you know, some people are going to say it's fake, they don't believe. But I'm giving you insight on, you know, how you feel when you hear about God coming to be with us. You think you know what God has seen or deals with? This is what you're reading about. So when he's telling you this stuff and you're saying, oh, that's a wicked book. So God has no power to not have his stuff tampered with so that you can receive it. This is why we have to stop saying certain books are off. What? You can say that. That's fine. But at the same time, what are you really reading in the Bible? So you think is out of realms or out of a possibility that there's more books? Maybe he had more people following him than you think. And maybe he had more of an organization than you think. It was just 12 men and we just walked around city to city. But you're not watching how God developed into what he is to have stories about him. Just like Mansa Musa. It's funny, Mansa Musa did kind of the same exact thing where he would take all his gold and 500 men and walk around giving out gold. Kind of the same thing, but the gold was the information. I mean, we really don't understand what we're looking at when we look at these books. That's what the problem is. We don't know what we're looking at when we're looking at these books. Historical books. The Quran, the Bible, the Gnostic scriptures, the Hindu, the Vedas, and different things like that. The Lost Book of Enki. The Zoroastrian belief system. They have books too. Egypt had books. What were they doing? What were their thought processes like? Who was they following? How did they do it? And they're going back all the way to time of gods. Magical beings that was here. They all go back to that time. So it's like, why do we believe one nation is, but we don't understand what we're looking at? That's what the problem is. And that's what the Hebrew situation was about. It was keeping accurate record of what was going on, but from our perspective. And it wasn't totally different than the rest of the world. It was just saying the rest of the world, you're following a God that isn't the original God that came to the earth and destroyed us. This is why that's another video. But that's the major goal. You're looking at what happened here to there. And when you're finding out what's going on, you're realizing you live in more of a magical world than you thought. Then you're like, well, how do I equate that with this? So people think that's fabricated. But then if you don't believe in that, now you don't believe in mankind. I feel like it's hard to explain, but I'm trying my best. And when I go off a topic, I try to pull myself back in. And I felt that right there. But that's what this whole thing is about. God coming with man for what reason? What was going on that he had to come? We all look at the individual story of Israel they was God's beloved, they was doing wrong, they, started going off, you know what I'm saying? And he had to save them because he understood the lineage that they came from and how this happened to them. They got tricked, bamboozled by the devil and his angels when it shouldn't have been so. So this is what God is entailing to you. So when you're saying, oh, well, who is God? Well, we find out that once we understand our own story first. That's what that is. So now when people are telling you, listen, you want to link up the Bible with all the rest of the stories? I'll show you how. The God in the Old Testament is not our God. It's not our God. So the God in the Old Testament, he comes and starts giving us laws and rules and stuff to do that is contrary to what we were already doing. But how do you find that out? It's having that inclination to say, what are all these stories? What are we actually reading? Movies and TV shows never had a greater mystery than what Israel has done with the information that we have put together. What is the greatest mystery? The greatest mystery. That's what that is. The Bible is chocked full of them. It's a story chocked full of mysteries of how does this correlate with this. But now you have to find out what Christ and him was talking about, and the world, the disciples and the people that he had with them were talking about. What they were talking about, to understand what Revelations is actually telling you. So if I tell you, that Marvel, it says no marvel that Satan even transformed into the angel of light. And you're saying, oh, they just took our records. No, it's greater than that. It's greater than that. You get caught up in these word semantics. Devil is evil, that's his name, blah, blah, blah. This is what people are thinking. No, this is a description of a particular being, and that's who that is. You never get the name of anybody. You're getting attributes. So when you look at that word and you just take that piece of the whole totality of the book and you say, look at this word, and then you link that up and you're trying to figure out how does it correlate, then you miss the whole story. Instead of trying to figure out, well, what's going on? So the historical events of the time, this is what we were doing as a nation. This is what they were doing as a nation. Getting up, going up, from caves up. You're watching that, boom. Then you're watching us from not being in caves to going into desperation. Because every other time we was able to get out, right? Every captivity and do what we had to do for ourselves. It's never been to a point where nobody can do anything for themselves now. Because they could just go into your country and destroy you if they want. We never looked at it in that level. This is what I'm talking about, the history of it. So we had a God the whole time, boom, up until when Christ comes. And then it seems that there's a battle between this God and the God of the Old Testament. He's loving, he's kind, he's sharing, he's giving away information, he's poor, he has no money. This is what this guy is doing, and people are calling him king. People are calling him that. King of the earth. What is this guy? Who is that guy? This is what they calling. This is what they're doing to Jesus. This is what this other dominant society is doing when they're talking about Jesus. A lot of them might believe in him, but the majority of them, they could give a shit about him. But we care so deeply. It's like man, like never ever seen before. That's what you're looking at Christ like. You're looking at him like that. The rest of the world don't look at him like that. You look at him as a brother, somebody that it is like Malcolm or Martin. That's how you're looking at him. That's who he is, right? You're like, yo, he's showing something totally different on the earth at a time that terror on the earth, a terror on the earth in that time, terror. But he didn't. When he, in this time, they're not gonna tell you that they were a terror. No. That's not how it works. So you looking at it in the books. Oh, they did this, and this, but then they're not telling you the bad stuff they were doing. But in our records, we tell you the bad stuff they were doing. You know what I mean? The gods and them, but we were still worshiping their gods, not even realizing we were doing it. He came and told us something totally different. So you're looking at the world God and our God, right? The God of the universe, which has come to call us back to the world that we were in before the flood, before all of that, before the downfall of man and gods and everything. Before that, that's what the knowledge you're going back to. So, when you look at it, right, because one thing you need to realize, Genesis chapter 1 and 2 and 3, there is not the one day, first day, second day, third day. We're talking about thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of years of mankind living on this planet. That's what you're looking at. Then when you get to chapter 2, you're looking at where a particular man fell, like something happened to him. That's what you're looking at in Genesis. We're looking at it as 1 day, 2 day, 3 day, and on the 6th day, he just messed up. Or the 7th day, 8th day. So you're looking at it in a week totality. You're not looking at it in a span of millions of years. That's why people always, you think the earth is only 6,000 years old. What? We've been here. Listen, the information that is out there about mankind is crazy. It's crazy. So you're trying to figure out that. That's what you're trying to figure out. What these stories are actually telling me. That's what you're trying to figure out. Once you figure out that, that's why it says study to show thyself approved. Because if you're not studying extra books to bring in validity to the Bible, to show that this is what, we're telling the truth amongst us though. We're doing that with amongst us. We don't need everybody to know what we're doing here. You get what I'm saying? The core brain of the thing, the core goal of the thing. This is what we're actually doing. So we're bringing validity to the Bible by taking things from the world. The Nag Hammadi text, the Dead Sea Scrolls, or Zoroastrianism in Iran. That information to show that in the Bible, we're telling the truth. Look, we're real people. This is us. This is us that made this book. This is what we're trying to tell you guys. That's what we're trying to tell all the rest of Israel. That's what we should be trying to tell them. That's why brothers being on the street corners in New York, Florida, Atlanta, Georgia, everywhere. Everywhere. Us doing that, and we're bringing you into that information. Come, look what we have here. That's what we're telling our nation. We have information about the world. Look, let's show you. And then some of us are gatekeepers. We're gatekeepers. They're fishers, but they're gatekeepers as well. Because we don't need disruptive people in the nation by, well, I say gatekeepers, their language, their vulgar disposition may turn people off. But we need them. We need them because you don't want everybody coming in and messing up what we have as a nation. See, we need people that respect that we're a nation and want to be a part of us and to choose to do better than we were before through the true living God of the universe. So when those guys are yelling at people, God is the one has them yelling at that person. So I don't have no dealings with, or nor do I care how they talk to people, because they're the gatekeepers. And they're making sure those that would do harm to the true information that we have doesn't get tampered with. So we keep full control of what we're doing so that nobody can take it. That's what these guys are doing. But we don't look at it like that. You guys are wicked. They don't need to know the ins and outs of the true information to do what they're doing. But some of them do. But I'm not saying that they shouldn't know. I don't want you to believe that. What I'm just telling you is they're just gatekeepers to the nation and who can come in and who can't. Spiritually divined by God. Or how do I attribute God to all of that? Because God is us. God is us. We are part of God. So if we're a part of God, whatever he's doing is divinely inspired by God. That's how I look at it. How do you look at it? What? So that's how you got to do it. But people don't get it, man. Everything we do is inspired by God, regardless if you see it or not. But you're not tapped into the full goal of God. That's probably why you can't see it. And that's why I try my best to give you guys what's going on in story form, or where we're just hanging out, because I feel like I could bring the books and I could read it, but I lose you. You start to look at it kind of different. But if I bring it all together and I give it to you in a story form, we love it more like that. Because that's how our books are written, story form. It's not written where guys detailing. Nah. It's not how this works. So, hey, I'm Farious Black, and I want you guys to realize